Welcome to This Week in Geek. No Rob tonight. Good. This is a little.
We're back.
Yes, we are. A long time. No, long time. So who else is on the call? We have Chris. Chris and
how you doing? Yep, Chris Mao. How you doing?
And Scott Salmons.
And we're back, and it's March 20th. We've had a nice little hiatus, and hopefully we get to keep this going. So, I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about to start? I mean, there's a lot of big news that's happened this week in general, but anything you want to start with before we build up to the finale, which of course is Infinity War, if you didn't know.
What are you talking about? That something big's happening?
Oh, it's big.
All I know is that I was just rewatching some trailers before we got on, and this might be the best year of sci-fi movies ever. I mean, Black Panther was awesome. Infinity Wars is going to be awesome. There's just a lot of stuff. Isn't Solo coming out this December?
No, it's coming out. Yeah, it comes out this summer. Comes out
this summer. I mean, yeah. Solo looks great.
I don't know. I don't know if Solo looks great. I might have to. I'm not saying fight with you on that, but I don't feel the same hype with Solo as I felt with the other Star Wars movies.
Me neither, but I love the offshoot. I love the not following the kind of the trilogy stuff. Like Rogue One was fantastic, so I can't wait for this.
Yeah, I have to agree. Rogue One really surprised me with how well it did its own thing without, a major tie to the Skywalker family. And, I've just grown to love the movie the more I watch it. So I have high hopes for Solo.
You know, when I look at Rogue One, and I like Rogue One a lot, but I think the reason why I liked Rogue One a lot was the last 10 minutes of Rogue One. And I wonder if you take that out, if you will still have that kind of impact for this movie.
I think so, because we seen in the trailer there's some footage of the Falcon doing the flying through that tunnel, and then the tentacle monster. I used to have the criticism of Rogue One that the first 2/3 felt like it had chessboard syndrome, where you're just moving the people into place. Mm-hmm. But I've grown to love those character moments so much that when it finally all comes together, that last third, that battle over Scarif is so much more amazing for knowing the characters and having spent that time with them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little disjointed, but there are some great characters they introduce, and I don't know, I love how they make it dirty, how everything isn't clean, and how it's, they show the way that people live, and they're on these, horrible planets in horrible circumstances and do these amazing things. So I just like that. Not that I don't like the trilogies going on and all that stuff. I think that's great, but, there's just some different stuff. But, I guess it's for each his own. I just am a Star Wars geek. It was like right in my wheelhouse. I was 10 years old when it came out. So it's like perfect for me.
All right. Hey, I'm not gonna say that it's gonna be bad. It's just the trailers for Solo didn't hype me like I've anticipated. And I guess maybe we're spoiled at this point.
Oh sure. Come on, because like every trailer you see nowadays is unbelievable. You look at the Infinity Wars one, it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, the Black Panther ones that came out, the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Oh, did you see that one? Oh my!
I did.
It's ridiculously great with all these great actors, and and I guess just having come from Harry Potter and doing the Universal thing and seeing that, I was like, woo, this is exciting. So,
which Universal Studios did you go to?
Orlando. So
Orlando.
I did a day of Star Trek of Star Wars. And then we did a day of Harry Potter, and it was geeking out at its finest in Orlando, and then, it was pretty awesome. But we just did a day at each, so it was limited. I mean, I see Darth Vader walking down the street and I'm crying. And I'm 52, so I was like, oh my god, this is great. So
did you get into the did they do the march in Hollywood Studios. Did you get in? Because I actually filmed myself in the middle of the march. I got up with the stormtroopers and I was marching with them.
Were you?
Yeah.
No, I was at the front of the stage.
Oh,
I was like sitting right in front, so I saw them come down, but they were, when they did their little formation in front of the stage, there was a stormtrooper just looking me in the eye, and I was like, this is awesome. So, but like how they do the Jedi camp, and then they have the kids fight Kylo and Darth Vader at that one stage. I mean, I was like devastated. I'm like, I want to fight Darth Vader. But,
my kids got to go up there. They had, I think they had Darth Maul and Vader for one, and then one of them had an Inquisitor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was cool. And when we got to meet Kylo Ren, my son kneeled in front of him. I said, "Yes, join the dark side." It's the way to do it.
Yeah, we did the thing. We did the dessert VIP party before the the light show. Yeah, which is ridiculous amount of money, but it was awesome. And we did you're in the launch van. We met Chewie and we met Kylo, and I was wearing a TIE Fighter T-shirt. It was probably my best looking Star Wars shirt that I had. And he like yelled at me. It was kind of funny. He's like looking at me, he's like, "What are you wearing that for?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. It's my nicest shirt that isn't destroyed." Or
I know. I had a Vader shirt on, and Chewie was screaming at me, and I was just like, "Sorry, buddy."
Yeah, I got a hug. It was we all worked it out, so it was
awesome.
Good.
Yeah, Disney does it right. I can't wait till Star Wars Land opens. Speaking of that, they announced today Marvel Lands are opening. Not in Orlando though, because they don't have the rights to that kind of land. I mean, I still don't understand how they're getting away with the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Epcot that they're going to have by 2020. But they're where the Guardians of the Galaxy mission, I think it's Mission Breakout in Disney California, Disneyland. They're all that's around there that was like a Pixar area, like Bugs Life and everything. They're closing that next week, and they're starting a 2-year process to Marvelize it. They came out with like 3 posters. They're going to open up a Marvel Land in Tokyo and I think in Paris or wherever. I think it's Paris.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Paris, so yeah.
Yeah, so they're gonna like a whole Captain America thing in Paris, an Iron Man thing in Tokyo, and it looks like it's gonna be big on Spider-Man and Black Panther in California.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
I mean, you know what? It was amazing. Like this is the first time I've been to Disney, and like the first time I've been to Universal in like 15 years, and it's way different. I was really, really impressed with the way Universal like had their own little set their stage for that genre. So like Jurassic Park or the Harry Potter stuff, it was amazing. Now Disney, in terms of the detail and in terms of the grandeur of blowing Star Wars out of the water or whatever it is, I mean nobody could beat that, and nobody could beat their I hate to say attention to detail, but I kind of wish there could be a combination of the way they do it to make it a little bit more, I hate to say seamless, but a little bit more immersive. Maybe Star Wars World or Star Wars Land will be like that, but I don't know, because Disney seems a little bit more wide open to me. And I don't know, maybe that's a generalization, and it's not knocking Disney, but when we did the Harry Potter thing, it was like, that's all you saw. And that was unbelievable. Now, when I did all the Star Wars stuff, I was seeing everything else, which is great, but I wanted to be just in Star Wars Land. So.
Well, I think you will. I think that's the plan for it. I mean, they've already started moving things out and around Hollywood Studios. I think that's the plan. I mean, they're putting a Star Wars hotel up in that area as well. And I think you'll have the break because it's going to go from Star Wars Land to like the Pixar Land. Sure. And I'm sure there'll be a little bit of vision oversee, but I mean, outside of Harry Potter, I mean, when you get into like Islands of Adventure, I mean, you could see a lot of stuff from the Marvel Land to the Dr. Seuss Land. I mean,
yeah,
I think
Jurassic Park is separate. The newer ones seem to be a little bit more separated.
Yeah,
where you're just there. So,
well, I think we're getting there, but I think a lot of stuff with Disney. The problem is they have more nostalgia in their rides to them to get rid of. So it's harder for that because it's like, you walk through Hollywood studios, you want to see the Tower of Terror. It's an iconic piece of Hollywood studios.
Sure.
So, but I get that. I mean, I think they're working toward it because if you go to, you didn't get to go to Animal Kingdom. So if you go to, Avatar, it's all Avatar. I mean, you can see it from a distance, but once you get to Avatar Land, it's that you're immersed like you were in the Avatar movies.
I didn't do that because I didn't think I'd fit on the ride, so I didn't want to risk it. So we didn't plan that.
Well, there's two, and for sure one of them you would be able to.
Nice.
The other one, I don't know. I didn't even attempt it myself because I was afraid of the same thing. But I guess they made it for larger people. Maybe next time I will try it.
Well, that's good because like we did that. I almost fit on the Harry Potter ride, but it was a little close, and I didn't want to risk it. That's all I need is a fly off a roller coaster. It terrorized some little kids. Hey, look at that guy fly! Look at Hagrid flying. So, it was okay.
If you had a big beard, that would be awesome. Say Hagrid.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. So, I was just I was nuts about the whole thing. It was Kathleen was much more. My wife was much more into the Harry Potter world. I was much more into Star Wars, but I was still all in Harry Potter. It was great.
Definitely. So, that's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, it is cool. So, what else? So, I mean, I'm still stunned that I went and saw Black Panther again. I'm still stunned at how great of a movie that was.
It was fantastic. They did everything right. They gave us a great villain. They gave us a villain with proper motive.
Right.
We got some really, really nice action pieces, but it wasn't all action. It had a lot of heart to it. It had a lot of, good storytelling, a lot of, immersiveness into that world, into Wakanda, and it was fantastic. I completely agree. Like, I couldn't have imagined a better way to make that movie.
And as a non Iron Man appearance, it was great to see it succeed the way it did. The old trope where Tony Stark adds $50 million to your draw. What did it do? $400 million the first weekend or something? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's over 600 domestic. It just broke that. I mean, there's only I think 5 movies that have done that. It's gonna pass the first Avengers movie here shortly, domestically. Internationally, I don't know if it's gonna get there. I mean, just because there's a lot of things coming out now in the next few weeks that are gonna start taking, screens away from Black Panther, but it's got legs. I think it's at almost 1.2, worldwide, which puts it in the top.
1.19 billion. Yeah, it's,
so it's in the top 10, closing in
I should watch that.
You haven't seen it yet?
No. We did start watching more of the Marvel movies. We saw The Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton. That was good.
Of all the movies you picked The Incredible Hulk to start with? We
wanted to start early in the timeline. So we've seen the first 2 Iron Man movies and The Incredible Hulk. So we'll pick up from there and keep going.
Are you going
to the
release timeline?
Yeah, you're on the Southgate timeline of watching movies?
Yeah, something like that.
So you'll see Infinity War in 2020?
Probably, yeah.
Oh man, that hurts my heart. That's not just because I'm a big guy. That just hurts my heart.
Lil, are we going to do the 2-day MCU marathon?
No, are you kidding? Okay, number one, it's not a proper marathon. It made me mad when I saw it. It was only 31 hours long. That's not all 18 movies.
And not the 42 that it is or something? Isn't that what it is, 42?
It should be about that. I'm not saying we need to have all the Netflix series. I mean, I think there was one thing I was watching with, if you put Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all the one-shots, Agent Carter, I think I got 600 hours or something like that. No. If it's the proper marathon, should have been all the movies. I mean, what's the difference between 31 and 42? How much? 10 hours?
A couple of showers.
I mean, people are gonna have their, what are those, the dude wipes, and they're gonna, that's how they're gonna shower in their seats and sit there and watch it. I'm not. I mean, I own them all on Blu-ray, so I'm just gonna watch them at home.
AMC 30 would be a little stinky. They should get some, portable showers or something. Bring those in.
They just need a hose outside, just a hose. Hose all the people off. I mean, I like the idea of like if they wanted to do Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron, and then maybe Infinity War, something like that, or Civil War, then Infinity War, something like that.
Throw a Guardians in there. Come on, throw Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, you don't have to, but I mean, you could throw in Guardians too,
right?
Because it's later on. But I mean, like, just a marathon like that, it just doesn't seem like it would be fun. Nobody's staying up for the whole time.
No.
You're going to be very uncomfortable.
Right.
Older people might end up with blood clots.
You'll stink, and you won't enjoy the movie at the end, and that's the whole point.
Exactly. 31 hours to get to Infinity War, that's 2.5 hours. I mean, the movie's 2 hours, 36 minutes.
Wow.
The run, I can't wait.
That's 20 seconds a character. It's going to be awesome.
No. It's gonna be
I mean, that is a concern I have is, cramming so many people into something like that. Is it just going to amount to like an old Bob Hope movie with a cameo of somebody every other minute?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you watched Captain America Civil War, yes, the secondary characters had a little bit less time, but they all had time to pay off. They all got the time that they deserve. I think the difference with this movie is it's going to be from the point of view of the villain. It's really telling the Thanos story here. We're going to get more backstory on him, which we got in the trailer, which was kind of fantastic looking. You're going to get more insight and more follow through with him. I mean, a lot of it will be from his point of view. Yes, we're going to have to follow the heroes, but I think that's what's going to make this movie even bigger, is just because we're getting that kind of difference in take on screen.
So
we all want to see.
Go ahead.
We all want to see how they interact with each other, but I think just having it from the villain's point of view, I think it's next level. It's something different.
Yeah,
no,
that does sound interesting.
But I want to see how they're going to take the interaction between the different factions. Like, I automatically know that the Guardians Thor interaction is going to be very funny, but is that going to mix with the other parts? Because it seems like Black Panther is going to take a much bigger role, because obviously they're, from the trailer, it looks like they're doing a big chunk of it in Wakanda. So is that going to be a lot more serious, and then the other stuff is going to be funny, and then they, the Iron Man part's going to be in between, where he does serious and then does funny, and how are they going to bridge that? I mean, not that it's going to be bad, but I always wonder, because the Thor movies are definitely taking that Deadpool Guardians point of view, where there's a lot more funny and a lot more, making fun of themselves. So, how's that going to run? Because that seems to play pretty well.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a different take here, because it's not a Thor movie. It is an Avengers movie. So there will be that humor, which we did get in the trailer. We got some of that humor. I mean, we got humor between Star-Lord and Iron Man, when they're talking about a plan. We got some humor with Peter and Doctor Strange, for those that know, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. And but then there was seriousness. I mean, there was Thor. I mean, you saw Thor being held by his head by Thanos. You saw. So I don't want to give away spoilers or spoil anything, but like my prediction is like the end of Ragnarok in one of those end scenes. You see Thanos' ship appear. So I don't think we're getting like that lightheartedness like we did in Ragnarok with Thor and them, because I think it's going to be serious, and it's going to be the reason how he gets to the Guardians. And it's going to be, you'll have some of that jab there with how Star-Lord talks, but you have Gamora in this trailer telling somebody, it's probably Thor more than likely than it looked like it was Iron Man, but of Thanos and of his backstory and what he can do with those Infinity Stones. So I think you'll have a more serious take on Thor, because he is going to be in that part where, more than likely Thanos is either capturing that entire ship or destroying that entire ship. Something's going to happen with Loki. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things going on.
Oh, yeah.
You'll get those joke things, but I think you'll get it more serious. And I mean, the Russo brothers were comparing like Thanos to like Darth Vader. So my guess, because it's not an official two-parter, but we are getting an Avengers 4. It's already been filmed. It's already been filming. A lot of people have already been on set. But I do think this will probably be darker in tone overall.
Can I ask something? I haven't kept up completely, but I remember that when Infinity War was originally announced, it was going to be 2 parts spread over 2 different summers. Mm-hmm. Did they smoosh it into one, or are they making part 2 into something else?
Well, we don't know yet. There's no part 2 officially. So what they did is it's gonna be a standalone. There is a beginning, middle, and end. There probably will be a to be continued, but it will have an ending. It won't be like the last Harry Potter movie where it just ends and you continue, or Lord of the Rings where it just stops at some point and then you have to wait for the next year. It's going to have an ending. What that ending is, again, that's why I'm trying to like compare it a little bit to kind of like Empire, because Empire had an ending, but we know there's stuff.
There's more to come.
We have to go find Han Solo. We have to go do this stuff. There's things happening. But there's still, the movie ended, and the movie can stand alone by itself. You could watch Empire and not have to watch Return of the Jedi right away. I think that's the same feeling here. Like,
who are you talking about? Sorry, a little. I apologize.
You could watch it truncated without the Ewoks Return of the Jedi. But, so I think you're going to get that same kind of thing here, where you're going to get a story that flows all the way through. It'll have an end, but then it'll have you wanting more. There'll be something that'll need to continue on, but there's going to be like a definitive end. And that's why they don't want to give away what the title for the next one's going to be, because the title supposedly is going to reveal some spoilers. Reveal something that's going to end here. I don't know if it's Avengers Reborn, Avengers Rebirth, Infinity Gauntlet, or whatever they want to call it, and maybe the next one is all in space or time travel or whatever. But there's going to be, there's some differences with that. And they showed some set photos that leaked out that showed it looked like the first Avengers movie set. Captain America looked like that Captain America. He had the lighter blonde hair, no beard, the old first Avengers tight suit, and then Ant-Man and old Tony Stark and Hulk was with them. And it was kind of a weird hodgepodge because Ant-Man wasn't in that movie. So now everybody's thinking that there's some kind of time travel thing involved, which would be awesome. One of the Infinity Stones. I mean, Doctor Strange's, you can change time, and that's. I guess we'll see. But I can't wait. I'm already shaking here, waiting. So it's coming up.
And you get to wait a week earlier, so that's fantastic. So I love them for doing that. That was a surprise, but it's a good move on their part.
Oh yeah, very much so. I when I heard it first, I thought it was a joke, because usually it comes out in Europe, the week before, and they just decided it's going to be a full launch worldwide at the same time. So yeah, April 27th. So I'll be in the theater April 26th that night, 27th, 28th, possibly 29th.
You're gonna wear a different outfit every show?
I have 4 different Avengers shirts, so maybe I will. Maybe I'll wear my Avengers 1 shirt that's kind of faded, but it's okay. My Age of Ultron shirt for the second showing, my Civil War shirt for the third showing, and then I'll probably end up getting a new Infinity War shirt, so I could do that.
You'll be there.
I'm wearing my Star Trek Generations t-shirt. Should I wear that?
Wear whatever you want. I just want you to go see it.
I'll see it in a couple of years when we get through the rest of the movies.
This hurts when you say that. I can't believe that.
Hey, I saw Blade Runner within a month or so of release. That was something. And then Star Wars, we saw release day.
gotta have priorities, Will. So
Yeah, but this movie is the priority. I mean, I don't, I mean, and on top of that, I mean, the pre-sale tickets, like Black Panther held the record for pre-sales, and Infinity War beat it in 6 hours. I mean, they're saying that right now, Fandango says the pre-sales right now for Infinity War are 1,000% larger than the pre-sales for Age of Ultron, for the last Avengers movie.
Wow.
1,000%. That is crazy numbers. I mean, this movie might beat The Force Awakens. Beat that $900 million domestic number.
Yeah.
It might be a $2 billion movie. And if it's good, I guarantee it will be a good $2 billion movie.
Do you think it'll get multiple watches, though?
Well, I think it will if it's good. You know, I mean, why is Black Panther doing it? Is because it's getting multiple watches because it's really good.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think I don't know how many multiple watches it got, even though it got my multiple watch. But I think Black Panther went into a lot of corners of the American society to draw people, and that's why it did so well, because it was going to get the Marvel fanboys anyway, or any of the sci-fi people. But then it went into a different, kind of culturally different, and I thought, which was great, and it was awesome. And that wasn't what drove the movie, but it was a great addition to it. So.
No, I agree with that. But guess what? Now, what we get with Infinity War, we get all those characters back from Black Panther.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that subset of people who love that movie, who wanted more of Wakanda, who wanted more of, all those characters, all the women, everybody that was involved in that. I'm drawing blanks on names. We see in the trailers they're all going to be in Infinity War. I mean, it's just they're there, and that's going to bring that crowd back. And the Marvel fanboys, the comic fanboys. I mean, the first Avengers movie made 1.6 billion, and this movie is 10 years in the waiting. Of all that buildup. Yeah, this is a definite multiple viewing, opening weekend, multiple viewing throughout. I guarantee that. I guarantee it will be the highest grossing superhero movie of all time, worldwide, for sure. And it might end up, in that Titanic, Avatar, Force Awakens range.
Yeah, that ridiculousness, but that's, It's
Jurassic,
going to be anticipated. I just hope it does.
Jurassic World did 200 million opening weekend. I mean,
wow.
That's Jurassic World. That does not have the hype that this Infinity War movie is going to have. And it already has and is already continuing to build up into.
Hey, Lil.
Yeah.
Do you ever check the Facebook page? The This Week in Geek Facebook page?
Once in a while, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did I miss something?
What?
Oh, I was looking for stuff to talk about here, and I found something, so I put it there for you to see.
Okay. Well, what do you want to talk about? What is it?
Oh, it's just a little picture or something. I am looking at some other news here. Indiana Jones 5.
Yep.
Do we want this?
Do we have a choice?
Scheduled for the summer of 2020, and Spielberg is apparently in the UK to will be back in Britain next spring to shoot it. Why?
I don't. Can Harrison move around like he once? I don't know.
No, he can't.
I mean, I don't know, and I don't want Kingdom of the Crystal Skull again. I want,
Oh God, that's right. I forgot there was a fourth movie there for a minute. I even just said that the fifth movie, and then I forgot there was a fourth movie. Wow.
Everyone's forgotten that fourth movie.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean,
even the people in the movies forgot about the movie. So,
Spielberg, I love him. I can't wait for Ready Player One. Super excited for Ready Player One.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was him for most of the production until the first trailers came out and they're like a Spielberg movie, and I'm like, oh, really? So that's kind of got me interested. I wasn't super interested in seeing it until I realized that it was Spielberg. So, but I think that could be neat.
Yeah, it's kind of weird though. Like, I guess a lot of stuff was coming out that, like, in the books there are a lot of Star Wars characters, and there's no Star Wars characters in the movie. He does have DC characters. I think Batman was featured really quickly in the last trailer. You get a lot of 80s and early 90s icons. Maybe even later. I mean, Iron Giant was like 98, 99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which I don't think was in the book. I don't know. I can't remember. But it's just funny. Like, Spielberg and Lucas have had such a long history together that, he didn't get to use those characters. Just a little kind of odd. But
There's a billion reasons or 4 billion reasons why he didn't. So, that's okay. Or whatever. What was the price tag? 2 billion?
it was 4 billion. You're
4?
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
I know. I'm not feeling bad for any of those guys. So, but that would have been great if he would have wrote it in the contract. If Steven ever does Ready Player One, you have to let him use the images.
Yeah.
That looks good. I mean, unfortunately, that some of that ground other people stole before and have used it in their in some of their shows. But I think it's going to be. I think it's very interesting and it looks great. And I read the book, but it was a long time ago. And I'm not going to revisit it before that comes out. So,
yeah, I want to. I haven't finished the book, but my thing is I want to separate them because I know it's not going to be like the book.
right.
And I think that's a lot of people's complaints. Is the book is beloved,
Right.
but I want to. It's two different stories. They can live separate amongst itself. I mean, it's going to have the through lines with the Oasis and everything, and that's great. But you could have different things going on.
Well, you have to. It is so hard to have the book and the movie sync up 100% that you need to change it because there just isn't enough time on the screen to get what 3 words can say because you can't get inside people's heads as much. So it's always hard. Like Lord of the Rings. I mean, you can take the book and make it 3 times as long, or you can make it half as long. And that's the hard part. So, there's stuff that you can read, like the end of The Hobbit or the end of Lord of the Rings. It's great in book, but it would have been a horrible part of the movie because the movie was already done. The book isn't. The book, you get that completion, but in the movie, the movie is done. Once Aragorn gets, crowned, you're pretty much over.
So, well, can we segue to? I mean, there's not a whole lot of news, but Amazon's Lord of the Rings series. They've got a budget of $500 million.
Well, they need it. How else would you do that? You're going to have to cast a ton of people. The special effects are going to be through the roof.
Right. And
I don't know if Amazon's going to make their money back with it because we've already seen it. I mean, is the masses going to care about it with that kind of budget?
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say something else, but yeah, that's a good question there. Will the masses watch that? We'll watch it because we're the type that want to see every page of the book on screen. And I thinking about if they're spending that much money, they're going to need to sink time into the material to make episodes, to spread it out, to make something that people will, can sink their teeth into. So that means, Tom Bombadil, more of the time spent at the Elven cities and Rivendell and whatnot, and more time in the Shire. Maybe showing that 17 years between Bilbo's birthday and Frodo leaving, which was, compressed into 17 minutes in the movie.
Sure. They had to gloss over a lot of, one of the criticisms I have about the book, but which is also makes it great is J.R.R. Tolkien went into great detail about almost everything. So it's like this blade of grass, Bobo cried, blah, 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 and I'm bringing that up to make it sound negative. It's great, but that's the part that didn't translate to the screen because you can see him walking across the Shire and that's pretty much good enough. But there are some really good things in there that they could expound upon on in the TV series, but how much more time actually is the TV series going to be more than what the movies are? And what can they cover differently? Because it's not going to be that much more, I don't think, in terms of time.
It's going to be drawn out depth. It's going to be, and that's the problem. Like, do the masses have time for something like that? I mean, like, I don't know what the budget for a season of Game of Thrones is. But Game of Thrones it's a different beast, you know, when it goes in, and HBO has a different income than Amazon does. I think this is wrong. This is not gonna work, and it's not gonna do well. I mean, I could be wrong.
Right.
When you're looking at $500 million, I mean, you're looking at a lot to recover that, especially for a streaming service. Like, I don't even know where they would come in, like how they would quantify them making their money back on something like that.
Right.
Yeah. According to this, Game of Thrones, the last season of Game of Thrones was $10 million an episode. Season 6.
And that was what, 8 episodes?
Or 10 episodes, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so $100 million for Game of Thrones.
A season.
For the season. Yeah. And this is $500 million for how long?
Well, it's not really clear on that. I mean, I guess a couple of seasons, but you know, how many episodes? 12 a season or so? I mean, that's it is a conundrum, because we're hoping, you know, the folks like us were hoping that they take the time to dig into the Tom Bombadil kind of thing, the life in the Shire kind of thing, but we also know that they've got to sell this to a wider audience. So,
well, right, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know, and I don't know if the magic will be there on TV like it was in the theater. Now, you know, I fell in love with this movie. I never read the books, so I'm not the book guy. I read them after the fact.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't read them before the movies came out. But I remember going to the movies because I wasn't sure what I was getting into, and falling in love with everything after that first movie. Like, I thought this was like one of the most, like, probably how you guys felt seeing Star Wars in the theater for that first time, which I never got that, you know, that's kind of how I felt watching Lord of the Rings. Like, I'd never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, my wife had never read the book. So she'd read plenty of other fantasy, but she'd never done Lord of the Rings, and I'd read it a couple times. And, you know, I wasn't totally in love with it, you know, when I read it, but when we walked out of watching Fellowship of the Ring for the first time, she was like, that's every video game I've ever played, because it hit on so many tropes and so many character types and plot types that, you know, so many video games have taken over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And she immediately got my copy of the books and just tore through them. But I mean,
you can see how, after, like, with that fresh set of eyes on it, you can see how almost every fantasy writer has stolen from him, liberally, and that's okay. But I mean, he set the standard and set it pretty high, and didn't take the lazy way out,
right?
And did it. It's just amazing.
Well, true, but it was also a different time. I mean, that's the thing. Like, fantasy nowadays, you know, anybody who writes a book now is not writing a book to write a book. They're writing a book to get a movie done.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing within the comics industry. It's everything. You know, when I read a trade paperback book, there's some great stories that, like, Mark Millar does. You know, these kind of one-offs. And you look at it and you're like, well, this is a treatment for a movie or a series. Like, that's what I feel about everything that is coming out. Probably in the last, I don't know, I want to say 20 years.
Well, but that's the model for it. I mean, you don't make any money selling books. You make money selling it as a movie and then.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Tolkien, back when he was writing these, you made money selling books. So you wanted to go in depth. You wanted to build that world, and because
these were distributed as, like, by chapter, so it wasn't even like the whole book. He just wrote them chapter by chapter and published them in, like, a magazine or something. That's how it first came out.
Who is that?
The Lord of the Rings. He wrote them as an entirety, but he put them out mostly in like chapter by chapter, and then they put the books on after that.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. I did find this about the Amazon. It's supposed to be $500 million for 2 seasons, and it's supposed to be a prequel to Fellowship.
What?
Yeah. So it's supposed to happen, I guess, between The Hobbit and Fellowship. I mean, that's supposed to be like 70 or 80 years. So I mean, there's a good bit of ground to cover, but still.
Is it a prequel to the Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit?
A prequel to the Lord of the Rings.
I think a lot of it is supposed to be, you know what, you're jogging my memory because I didn't do any research on it, but I think it's a lot about what happened with Aragorn and the Rangers and how some of that stuff happened, and then some of what happened with Gandalf in between, because, you know, Gandalf basically disappears for like 40 years.
Right.
And whatever that time period is, what is it, 70 years? I think it's 7 years.
Yeah, but
it's 70 or 80 years, yeah.
See, I hate that, though. Like, I hate it because it's a prequel to the big story. Like, yeah, we're gonna get these great stories with the Rangers and but is it something that we're gonna really care about? I know, Scotty, you will, but I'm talking about the masses.
I was about to say, if they could pull off like a Rogue One, which is the best prequel so far, to be honest, you know, maybe it could be good.
Yeah, but you're asking 2 seasons at an hour. You're asking 24 hours of watch time. Rogue One's 2-hour movie that, you know.
Yeah.
There's less investment time-wise. I mean, that's the thing, how we consume. I guess we'll see. I mean, if it comes out in 1 season and you can binge it and love it, maybe. You know, maybe. The problem is you get things like Stranger Things, and you can lose yourself for a few hours, and you love the whole story. Here, it's part of another story of movies we've already watched 1 billion times, and we've already seen the Hobbit trilogy. Now it's this series in between the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I just don't know.
Yeah,
like, we don't get Sauron. We're not going to get any of that. We're not going to get a big bad. You know, like, there's no peril here. For any, you know, if they go into Gandalf or they go into Aragorn, like, there's no peril. You know, I mean, there was a big problem I had with the new Tomb Raider movie. I was watching that movie, and, you know, the Laura Croft start, and every position she was in where, like, anybody else would have died in, I wasn't fearful that she was going to die.
Right.
Like, not at all. And not like that. I think, you know, I just didn't think it, you know, it just, I don't know. There was no build up for it. And I think that's my problem with, like, the Star Wars prequels. Like, yeah, it's cool. Like, we got some of that story, but there was no peril, really.
Right. You know, Obi-Wan's not dying, so he's going to make it through all the movies.
Yeah, him and Anakin had that big saber fight, and you're just like, okay, well, when are you going to lose and get all cut up because they got to put you in your robot body? Like,
right.
That one is definitely a case of the journey, not the destination. You know, I don't mind that that so much. You know, I do wish the prequels could have had a better story to them, but I don't mind the fact that we know how it ends. I've come to appreciate the prequels a little more over time because of the small character moments that were there.
Because let's face it, we all wanted Anakin to get his butt kicked. And badly by the end of the third movie.
Only if it was episode 1, Jake Lloyd, Anakin was getting his butt kicked.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I get it. And Scott, believe me, like, you know, when I watch these superhero movies, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm in love with them. I knew, I mean, I don't know if Infinity War, you know, people are gonna die. But, like, I'm watching, you know, Captain America First Avenger. I know he ain't dying.
Right.
You know, you know, but I get that. But I think sometimes the journey stories are better, and I don't think the Star Wars trilogy told that better. And maybe this Amazon series will prove me wrong, and it'll be the greatest thing we've all watched. I don't know. I just think it's unnecessary. I would like some original content.
Okay.
I don't got anything else, or I think we done for the night.
How long do we have?
However long you want.
If you have something to bring up, go for it.
Well, Christopher Eccleston, my first Doctor, has been opening up a little more about why he left after only one season.
Because he hates everything.
I read a couple different articles in the past few days. One of them talked about how there was a scene that was, for the first episode, Rose, of the reboot, where there was some scene with an exploding couch or something on fire, and how the director made them skip all the safety measures and everything, and Christopher was really upset about the director taking shortcuts and not being careful with the cast and crew and everything. And I guess a lot of that was reshot by another director later. And he also said, this is from Den of Geek, he said, some of my anger about the situation came from my own insecurity. They employed somebody as the Doctor who is not a natural-like comedian, and then Billy Piper, who is brilliant, was very nervous and inexperienced. So they had that, and they just felt out of the comfort zone. And that's sad to read, because he was my introduction to Doctor Who. I'd heard of it over years, but I'd just never taken the step into it. And PBS started showing the Eccleston season, and I watched, and I immediately fell in love. And it just kills me that we can't get more Christopher Eccleston Doctor because of how badly he's separated from the BBC and the showrunners because of all this. And I hate that he feels bad about him and Billy Piper being inexperienced, because I think it helped their characters, because
right.
He always played Nine as being recently regenerated from the War Doctor. And, Billy Piper is just, she's just this shop worker who is suddenly thrust into this craziness. So, if she ever felt a little off, then it felt in character. So, there's some story issues in that first season. The farting aliens is a little much, but, that last trio of episodes, where they're on the satellite and, she does the Bad Wolf thing. It's some of the best Doctor Who ever made to this day. When the Bad Wolf steps out of the TARDIS and she, does the glowy eye thing. So, but yeah, it's interesting that this is coming out, and I don't know. I just hope we get to a point where enough of the people at BBC and Doctor Who have changed that Eccleston feels better about coming back and can do, at least one, maybe a one-off reunion episode with a future Doctor.
Yeah, because Moffat was, according to him, and I'm holding my fingers like a half inch away, was that close to getting him to come back to do the 50th. Because the 50th was supposed to be about him.
Right.
In the beginning, it wasn't supposed to be John Hurt. They brought him in because they needed to change the story up. And it would have been great if he could come back, but,
and that kills me too, because
and I think it's an unfortunate thing, and I'm not the biggest fan of Russell T Davies. My favorite episodes of his were the ones that were written by Stephen Moffat, so I'm kind of biased, and I don't think he did. I think he did a great job of bringing the show back, but they never thought it was going to work, so they kind of hired who they could get. I think they got Christopher Eccleston, who's a great actor, but if he's feeling uncomfortable. I hate to be like this. Isn't it his job to be comfortable in doing his role? And is it just because of the fault of the producer and the showrunner, or is it him not feeling secure by playing this icon? And, and I'm not trying to make it belittle it, because I think Christopher Eccleston is a great actor and a great person, and I'm sorry they had to go through that. But it's kind of I don't know. I kind of think his story fits the end result and not the real reason, but I also believe him. You know what I mean? It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say. So I talked to Peter Capaldi, or I saw him speak about his character. It was from the complete opposite. He was so excited to play that role because that's what he wanted to do his whole life. He was more worried about screwing it up than being uncomfortable. You know what I mean? He came from the opposite end, but still had the same skittishness about playing the Doctor. So, sorry, Lo, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but you're talking about Christopher Eccleston and that, but this isn't the first time he's gone off on projects that he was a part of. I just feel that he is an actor who's just not happy being an actor.
Right.
He hated being in Thor: The Dark World. And I don't blame him. It was a great movie. But I mean, like, how he talked about all that, like, it's just kind of crazy.
Right.
The stuff with, being the Doctor. I think there was another role that he, like, I forgot. I'm trying to remember what the other role was. But it's, I don't know.
Wasn't he Destro in G.I. Joe?
Yes, he was.
I haven't seen that either, but I know.
I mean,
I love him. He's a great actor, but he plays some really weird roles, and that's not any of our faults that he takes these projects.
He also did John Lennon.
Did he?
He did a John Lennon movie, and he did a nude scene.
Seconds.
He did a nude scene as John Lennon, and good golly molly, good grief, you can see everything.
You did the full Monty. That's okay.
He did the full Monty. Yeah.
But he does these very challenging roles because he was in The Leftovers where he played like this kind of crazy priest, pastor guy, and he probably loved that role, and it was just a very strange role. And he did a great job. He is a tremendous actor. I always believe him in whatever role he plays. But was he in 28 Days? Was it 28 Days where he played some kind of army guy? Was that
soldier? Yeah,
a soldier guy, and it was just kind of weird.
Well, and maybe that's what he needs to do. Like, I mean,
right.
it seems like anytime he gets into the mainstream, he hates it. Like, it's
Sure.
he's I don't know, and it's the worst experience he's ever had. I mean,
it might not be easy to do all that stuff. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you hear Dustin Hoffman isn't happy with any role the guy plays, and he's made $1 zillion doing it, and he's a good actor, but, he makes his life and everybody else's life torture. So maybe that's just his art. That's the way he expresses it.
Yeah.
But I love him as the Doctor. He was great. He really did, I think that point you brought up, Scott, earlier about how he didn't feel comfortable, and it kind of played into him being the Doctor, was really good and very effective. So it worked. Whatever it did, it worked.
Yeah. It brought me into the series, and that's got to say something. Even with some of the issues that first season had, it was still enough, and it still was so interesting that it brought me into the franchise and made me a Whovian.
Well, that's good. I mean, there's, I don't want to say there's nothing wrong. There's obviously, I think there's issues with every season because I think it's hard to write that much content.
Yeah.
Even if you have multiple people doing it and have continuity. But I mean, overall, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, it does hang together. We watched, rewatched, maybe a couple years ago, and we watched the whole season, and there's very little outright bad in that season. I mean, there's some there's some episodes that aren't that great, but there's no just episode that you dread watching.
Right. Absolutely, and that's a good thing. There's ones I'll skip, but that's because I know something else better is coming up. So we got all David Tennant, Matt Smith, and Peter. I love Peter Capaldi too, so I'm very happy with all that stuff.
Yeah, I love Capaldi so much, so much.
Well, it's funny looking back. People hated him. I can't tell you how many people used to come into the deli. Oh, I hate Peter Capaldi, and I was like, "Are you nuts?" But then, looking back, especially after we've been playing it a lot at the deli, it is, the problem is he got kind of screwed his first season because of Jenna Coleman. And so I don't think Stephen Moffat made it more about Jenna Coleman than he did about Peter Capaldi, which let him get into the role. But it also hurt him because he seemed kind of weak and kind of out there. But then the last, the Bill season, he's fantastic. He's just utterly fantastic in some of that stuff. So yeah, I was very happy with it. More than happy. It was great.
All right.
So anything else, Will? What about, a couple other things. Deadpool trailers testing even better than the screenings are testing even better than the original.
Well, the second time around, because the first initial testing that came out, it was a dud. And it looks like now that they went back and did some reshoots, because I guess they've been reshooting now for the last couple of weeks.
Right.
And they did another run of tests and scored like a 98 or something out of 100, and the original Deadpool was like 90, 92, around there. So, yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm happy that it looks like they fixed their problems. It was something that I was worried about, because it's a comedy, so it's always harder the second time around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because you have to use some of the same jokes, and then you have to expound on them, and it's hard.
Yep.
It makes it rough. One more thing I want to bring up, a show that I really like on the Sci-Fi Channel called The Expanse, done by the same people that did the new Battlestar Galactica, Caprica, and a couple other shows, is starting again on April 11th, and I really, really love it. It's about solar system kind of stuff, typical, factions against each other, but it's Earth versus Mars versus the people that live basically in the outer rings, like in the moons and the asteroids that are, out by Jupiter and Saturn. And it's a really interesting show, and it's starting up again. It's on Sci-Fi. I would highly recommend to watch it if you guys could. Thomas Jane's in the first season, and he's fantastic. As nutty as he is, he's fantastic in the first season. So it's a pretty good story if you got some time to look at something.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up. See who's got that available.
Awesome.
I want to say it's on Netflix, but I can't remember who's got the reruns. But it'll be on Sci-Fi starting, a couple weeks. So it's about 3 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that.
Very
okay.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess before we sign off, or unless Scott, you got anything else?
I just saw this. I've been watching for stuff. The second season of the anime Furikuri is scheduled for this September. It's titled Furikuri Progressive, and it will be out this September. Or no, June. Here it is.
June?
Yeah, it'll be out in June.
What'll be out? Is it regular TV? What is it? Netflix? What's it coming out on?
Boy, they don't even say Adult Swim. So yeah, it'll be on cable. Adult Swim.
Nice.
Very cool.
Okay.
All right, you guys want to give your social media before I run down Rob's list here to make sure everybody knows where to find us?
The 500 tweet list. This is where we gotta go. Scott, you want to go?
I am on Twitter and Tumblr as Scotty Smurf.
Excellent, and I can be found at The Blue Box Cafe or The Blue Box Cafe 176 on social media, and our website is www.theblueboxcafe.com.
And I can be found on Twitter at LOGEEKZ for the League of Geeks. Also on Facebook and Instagram. And you can also follow the show on Twitter at SMG_twig. You can also follow us on Instagram at This Week in Geek Pod. Also on Facebook at This Week in Geek. We also have a Patreon through Southgate Media Group that really helps support the show. Anything you can donate really helps, even if it's just $1 a month. And also, you can email us at southgatemediagroup@gmail.com.
Also, just one more thing, if you're listening to this, This Week in Geek will be at the Indiana PopCon. What is that, the first weekend or the second weekend in June? We're going to be part of an all-day podcast marathon that Southgate Media Group is hosting. But we're going to be there. I know, Lil, you're going to be there, right? I'm going to be there. Rob's going to be there.
Yep.
So that's where we're scheduled to appear. We don't know if Scotty's coming down, but I don't know if he can make it down for the day. But we'll be there all day if you guys want to come and see what we do live. So we'll be there.
Yep, we'll be there doing probably more than just this show. We probably have a lot of things set up, and that'll be on June 8th. I believe it's all day. I think it's from the open of the con. I want to say it's 10 a.m.
I think he said 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, even longer.
So something like that. Even another hour to fill that. But yeah, we'll have podcasters from all over the Midwest. They'll be doing little shows. We'll be doing a couple. We'll be doing this. We're going to do. Are we doing enough said or not?
Probably. We'll probably end up doing enough said. We'll probably do. Probably have you guys guest on a League of Geeks. Maybe we'll do a horror review. Maybe some toy news talk. We'll believe me, we're going to be there for a very long time podcasting. So, definitely join us if you're in the Indianapolis area at Indy PopCon, June 8th.
And it's a nice little con. We haven't been in a couple of years, but the one time we went, I thought it was pretty nice.
It was
a pretty good one, so it's not bad. And you know what? One thing we got to talk about, we didn't even bring up, is R.I.P. Toys R Us.
Oh yeah,
a chunk of my childhood. Spent a lot of time and a lot of money at Toys R Us, and they're going out of business. They just can't. They didn't adapt to the new times, and it didn't work out. So
they didn't, and there were issues with the people that were buying up the assets and not allowing them to invest in the stores, because that was, I've seen so many people saying Amazon, like, well, other brick and mortar stores were able to fight back, but every time I went into Toys R Us, everything was way over MSRP. And they may have had a little more selection, but the stuff you could buy at Target or Meijer for less than MSRP, then that was the stuff they needed to, maybe fight back on, and they just didn't. And
well, I think that's the problem. I mean, you brought up two stores that don't just do toys, and I think that's the problem with Toys R Us when they try to expand into other areas. They were too high in those other areas. So when they're getting deals in from Hasbro and from Mattel to sell product, Walmart's, Target's, Meijers, whatever other stores that also have a toy department are able to sell the toy piece at cost because it brings people in, because they're going to mark you up on bedding, on food, on whatever else, because you're going in there for a one-stop shop. Toys R Us couldn't adapt. They couldn't shrink. They kept trying to expand. It's just the investment was wrong. But, if you look at most of the brick and mortar stores that are like that, they're all really struggling. I mean, you look at Kohl's. I mean, they had to sign a deal with Amazon, to even keep going. Not many of them are able to stay, even the discount stores, TJ Maxx, Marshall, those are even struggling, even though they're discount type stores. So it's because of that, and it's it's not only Amazon. It's everything. Like you just said, you can go to Walmart, and I mean, when I told my kids, the first thing my oldest daughter said, she's like, "Well, yeah, because I go and I get a Pick Me Pop, and it's $12.99 at Toys R Us when I can go get one at Target for $9.99." And I just shook my head, and I'm like, "Well, you're right."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And, $3 makes a difference. And if you can do it, I hate to be like, if you're a Prime Amazon member, you get it in 2 days and the shipping is free.
Some things you even get same day. I mean, at this point, I mean, it's getting.
I've gotten stuff next day. Here in Chicago, like you guys do. It's if it's in stock in the fulfillment center that's in not St. Charles, Marengo or wherever it is, it gets it. So. Yep. That's the way it goes. All right, guys. Well, hey, welcome back. It's good to do this again. So.
Yes.
It was. All right, so that's it for this week in Geek. We'll see you hopefully next week.
Enough said.